What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Manny Reads Comics, where I read my comics from my pull list and I recap them and then just gonna give you a review of what I thought. Today I have Frank here. He's gonna be a special guest. He's gonna help me recap this, and because it's a big story, Sinister War. So what's going on, Frank?
Hey man, what's going on? Frank, my Instagram handle is Franks_comics. If you guys want to give me a follow for Spider-Man, Spider-Man new and old, and X-Men new and old as well.
Yeah, man, I really do like your channel. Lately, you posted about Sinister War and you posted all your variants and stuff. I'm like, damn, I'm a little jealous, but I was able to get the one variant that I wanted, which is what you're seeing here with the. How do you pronounce that guy's name? Kyle or
I'm
Kale?
gonna say it's Kyle.
Kyle.
I'm gonna say Kale Engu.
Yeah. Oh well,
I don't know
Angu.
if
I
I'm
want to say it's new, just
new.
cause.
Okay, yeah, new. Okay,
But I don't know. Like I don't know.
yeah.
Uh,
Either
Kale.
way, his work is amazing.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Especially with this, like the background, like it's just a white background, but it looks like it's
exactly.
shining. The pigeons flying behind Spider-Man and stuff. Like I love it. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
well, the whole
Um,
style, like the way he does his shading and
mhm.
everything, and it just gives you that like early morning feel, like that cover. Like you see
Yeah,
that bright hot sun right there. It's like first thing Monday morning in New
exactly.
York.
Yeah, and he's got like hard lines too. Like that's one of the things that he does that at least to me brings it out. Like when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's definitely new. You know,
Yeah,
however you pronounce his last name.
yeah.
Um,
However,
but jumping straight into the story, I don't know about you, but I was immediately happy to see Mephisto. Like, because
yeah. I was like, whoa, that's it
because
threw me off a little bit, but to see him with Doctor Strange there, I'm like,
mm-hmm.
okay, it kind of makes sense because I read a little bit of I read a little bit of Ghost Rider before,
Okay.
and Doctor Strange was in it as well. So they kind of had that combo of Strange and Mephisto. So it was kind of cool to see that same little combo that we used before in this Spider-Man. So I'm just like, okay.
Have you? Let me ask you this before I keep going. Have you read the One More Day storyline with Spider-Man?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, so I don't wanna ruin it for you or anything like that. But this Mephisto is definitely in that book. So like, if you can read this online or something, I would definitely try to read that story. Everybody hates the story.
Yeah.
Everybody hates the story, and I'm one of them. But it is something that you need to read to kind of understand what's going on right now. This is kind of what Nick Spencer has kind of been building up to kind of undo that story. That's what we think, at least, like me and a couple of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so yeah, I would definitely check out One More Day, the storyline. I think it came out in 2006. Yeah,
Okay.
so, uh, but that's why I was happy to see Mephisto because it's finally kind of explaining why he's talking to Doctor Strange and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
he is there and he's discussing Peter's soul and how like his soul is
Yep.
crying out and that it's it's just like taking damage and he wants him to give it back. He's like, you did something to take his soul, and Mephisto's like, that's not how I work. Like that's I can only be given things. I can't take anything.
Exactly.
So,
And it makes you think, what did Peter need so desperately that
yes,
he was willing to give up his soul to Mephisto? So it's just like,
exactly.
it had to have been some type of major life changing, like a decision he had to make in order to be like, oh, well, you know what? If you give me this, I'll give you this. And to give up your soul, like, oh, a deal with
Especially
the devil.
Spider-Man, to make a deal with the devil. That's Spider-Man to me is my favorite Marvel character, and like he can't be doing those things. Like he doesn't do that. He's pure. Um,
Righteous.
I feel like I'm gonna call it right now. You don't have to actually be tied to this, but we're gonna have you back on this show for sure because I need you to read that One More Day storyline.
Yeah,
Uh,
I will definitely look into it.
so anyways, we move on and we see Peter at the premiere for MJ's movie. She's on the red carpet. Peter looks a little uncomfortable, but she's definitely in her zone. And like people are taking pictures of her. And then this guy Cage McKnight comes out. Did you read the MJ?
I was
The
gonna ask you. Yes, I did.
You did?
I
Okay,
did.
so
I
maybe
like
you
it.
you can explain that to me because I didn't read it.
Okay,
I
so
was like, I'm not
basically,
gonna buy it.
okay, so to make it as best as I can, I believe in Amazing Spider-Man 29 or 31. somewhere between there, Peter kind of tries to propose to MJ.
Yeah.
But she gets caught up that she has to go make her flight, that she's leaving to Hollywood to go film for a movie. She got a mysterious script from from a producer and said that the person who wrote the movie wants you specifically for this role, wants only you.
That's and then
she was like, okay, she thought it was weird, but her agent said it was a go, so she's doing it. So she goes out for the movie premiere, and then she meets Cage McKnight. She's like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. They talk, and then finally Cage comes clean. It's like, okay, you know what? I have to be honest with you. It's me, Mysterio. And then he
surprise.
Looking back, it's like, oh no, I don't want to do this. And she didn't want to do it, but he rused her somehow, thinking, like, I know I've been a bad person. I've been a thorn to Spider-Man and this and that, but I feel like I need the world to know my real story. I want them to know that I never wanted to pan out like this. I had dreams of being, like my own movie writer and director, but my career just never took off like some other people. So basically he wanted to make a movie about himself. Okay. Kind of clearing his name of any wrongdoings, or if people who didn't take him seriously as like a goofy villain or like not a serious villain. Because when you think of Spider-Man villains, you got like Rhino, Big, Doc Ock, and then you have the guy that doesn't really have any special abilities. He's good with effects. Right. So I can understand his point where he just wanted to feel important. He wanted to be a top-notch villain. So he makes a movie and he casts people to play the Sinister Six.
This is making more sense now. This is love it. Okay.
Exactly, right? So they're in Hollywood, and MJ's the lead role, and they hire like a Spider-Man, they hire a Vulture, all that. So while all this movie is getting all the press and all the commercials, it's being, it's being thrown out there. Oh, Cage McKnight's new movie about Mysterio, and and they cast members of the Sinister Six. Well, seeing like previews, and there have been accidents like on set. The real Sinister Six, well, like some members of the Sinister Six, Vulture, you got Stegron, you got Tarantula, and I believe there's two other I'm missing. I'm sorry. They don't like the casting that's being made of them. They think it's like a mockery.
Oh no! Okay.
Especially Adrian Toomes. He's just like, oh, that's not me. I don't talk like that, and I wouldn't come up with these stupid plans like that. Nobody's happy with who they have being portrayed as them. So then their plan is just like, you know what? We're going to stop this movie from being made because it's going to make us look stupid. And how come if this guy wanted to make a movie, he's not coming to us for it? So they feel insulted, like they're being mocked about the movie. So they do everything they can to try and shut down the movie. But, MJ helps fight them off at the movie studio. And long story short, it was just they kind of delay the process of the movie because they did a lot of damage on set, and a lot of people who invested into the movie pulled out, so they lost funds, and then they had to go looking for loans from banks and people who would want to invest into this movie. So they finally finished up the movie, and it seemed like Mysterio was genuine. It seemed like he just wanted to clear his name. Mm-hmm. And they finished the movie, and then the premiere was set for New York, and then the whole MJ timeline kind of got messed up with whole COVID because it was going, and then it took like a couple of months pause, and it kind of messed it up, and I think the series ended shorter than it was supposed to. Okay. But The Amazing Mary Jane ended at number 6, where the movie's wrapped up and she's going back to New York to for the premiere. But in issues 1 and 6, one of her issues was, how am I going to tell Peter that I'm working with one of his arch nemesis? Right. So the whole series, she had multiple opportunities, whether a phone convo or a video chat, to tell him, hey, you know what? The director is whatever. But she doesn't. She's hesitant. She tells Mysterio that she's not worried about it, that he's going to understand. But she didn't really do it,
But
and
that's more
she's
like a face to face conversation too. Like
yeah,
you don't want to do
yeah,
that over the
and
phone.
that's what she said to him. She was like, I feel like I have to be there because he won't understand. So with that aspect of the premiere, it was just her series where a movie was made about Mysterio trying to clear his name, and boom, and then now we're here. But then with Mysterio as well as he seemed like a good guy in the series. You know,
Yeah.
like they bonded. You know, they had heart to heart, you know, conversations where he was 100% genuine. You know, he told, you know, he opened up to her, and but then I felt like maybe he wasn't a bad guy, but then I'm thinking, wait a second, he's the same one who got the script from Kindred to
Yeah.
give to
Yeah.
like the agent to give to Mary Jane. So now I'm
Oh, okay.
thinking, you know, after reading, you know, Sinister War one, I'm thinking, you know, what is he doing? You know, like what is Mysterio getting out of this? Unless Kindred just you know has him back from the dead, just you know as like a puppet, or is he offering something in return? Like, hey, you know, you carry out the script order and get MJ, and I'll whatever. So
All right.
it was cool to see Mysterio, but I want to know what is going on. You know, like what does Kindred have on him or have against them that he's doing all this? Because you saw in Sinister Wars, he took her at the end.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, that definitely fills some holes. Like I didn't know the full story about Amazing Mary Jane, but I definitely because even in my notes here I put like I'm not sure who this is for Cage McKnight, and then I was like, oh my god, it's
Yeah,
Mysterio, and
H. McKnight is like some big famous Hollywood director, like the biggest name.
oh, so it is a
You
real
know,
person.
no, it's not a real
Oh,
person.
okay. Okay. Okay.
It's a fictional person, but it's meant to be like one of today's top
No, no,
producers.
that's what I meant. Like it is a real person in this world,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Mysterio
yep,
just
that's
kind
the
of
person. Yeah,
okay.
he's a
I
big
see.
time. He's a big time director. Everything he does turns to gold, and Mysterio just impersonated him
I
to
see.
get the attention uh of MJ and the credibility to be like, okay, you know what, I'll stay to make this movie.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, that was good to know. Good to know. And just like you said, I have it down here that MJ, she does know that it's Mysterio and she plans to tell Peter, but she's just waiting for the right time. And then next, Peter again uh, reveals that he's gonna propose and he's gonna propose tonight. Of course, but knowing that Parker Luck, it's not gonna work out. He's like, oh, this nothing can stop me now, and of course, and then we see, and like I would assume it's across the street or something, but we see the Savage Six. They're just on top of some building, and they want revenge. And I put here they want revenge for something Mysterio did, and you just explained it perfectly. He made a movie with that they didn't like the way they looked in that movie, and they felt like they were made fun of. So that's good to know. But at the same time, while they're doing this, Kindred is also preparing. Um, Now, so the Savage Six crashes the party. The movie's about to start. The Savage Six runs in. You got Vulture, Rhino, Tarantula,
King Python,
Scorpion. Yeah. Scorpion, King Cobra, and
King
Stegron.
Cobra. Yeah, yep.
King Cobra, I've never heard of. Never. I don't know. I don't like. I've been reading since like 2011 and stuff, but I have no idea who King Cobra is. And I'm glad that Peter actually says that when he's fighting him. He's like, "Have we even fought that much? Like, why are you here?
Yeah, yeah,
Who are
exactly.
you?" So that was pretty funny. Um, so the fight starts. They jump in. Spider-Man starts by pulling on Tarantula, getting him away from MJ. King Cobra attacks Spider-Man from behind. Um, Rhino and Stegron jump in. They both hit Spider-Man. Like it's a pretty big hit. Taking the hit from both of them. He says he should have been knocked out, but he doesn't have the time because Vulture then goes for MJ, and when he jumps in to try to save her, Scorpion grabs him. Like there's so many things going on in this fight. And then Mysterio finally he reveals himself. Spider-Man sees what's going on, and he's able to hear from MJ like, "Hey, he's on our side. It's fine. It's okay." Uh, but then the Sinister Five arrive because it's not Sinister Six yet. They're there to get Mysterio to get the Six. So the Sinister Six arrive, and I'm happy about this. But like, Spider-Man finally is questioning Otto Octavius like his appearance, and like so I didn't read Superior Spider-Man Volume 2, So I had to go to a close friend of mine, Carlos. He's my encyclopedia when it comes to anything comics, and I asked him what happened at the end of that, and he delivered, let me know that. Did you read it?
No,
No.
no.
So basically, in Superior Spider-Man, the last that we see Doctor Octopus is that he's in a Peter clone body,
Yep.
and he's working as Superior Spider-Man. He's doing good things, and Norman Osborn from another dimension is about to like do his whatever evil plan, and in order to stop him, he this Superior Spider-Man makes a deal with Mephisto, and he
Mhm.
says, "Turn me back into the man that I was for one day, and that way I can stop Norman, and then I can go back to being Superior Spider-Man." And Mephisto's like, "No, I don't really feel like doing that, but I will turn you back into Norman and take away like any disease that not Norman, turn me back into Doc Ock. Take away any disease that you think you may have, like mental disease that you thought you had before. I'm gonna take away your memories that you have from Peter Parker, and you're just gonna be Doctor Octopus. And if you go bad, that means you're bad. If you do good, if you continue to do good, then that's on you."
Mhm.
So he accepts, and that's why he is back to his body. He is back to being Doctor Octopus. He was able to defeat that Norman, so that's great and all. But that's why he's back the way he is. But my question is, and it's kind of been answered. Basically, it's just like anyone who knew who Superior Spider-Man was, how come they're not questioning like, hey, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? He's a good person. Why is he doing this now? And apparently, I guess Mephisto is the one that took that away, like took the memories away. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But then Sinister Six, Savage Six, they're going at it. Um, I said I don't know why, but MJ and Peter. Oh yeah, MJ and Peter decide to have a conversation at that moment where there's a war going on. At that
Yeah.
moment, they decide like, hey, let's have a talk about why you're working with Mysterio, and it's not the time. But of course, they stop talking, and this is where I am. I was happy to see this. You don't know about this because you haven't read One More Day. So I'm gonna kind of spoil it for you, but I'm kind of not. I don't I don't know how to go through that, navigate that. But basically, Mysterio tells Peter like, "Hey, I know something about you. I know about what you did," and he's pretty much insinuating that he knows about the deal with Mephisto, right?
Mhm.
And so that goes on to something else. You know what? I'll leave it at that. So Mysterio does know most likely what Peter did. Um,
Okay.
this is when Doc Ock finally invites Mysterio to join the team. He says, "You can join us, but we need to take MJ as well." Uh, she immediately, as soon as he said that, was like, "Oh, Kindred sent you." So that was pretty interesting. Like that was really good, like observation on her part. And then she was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, Kindred sent you, obviously." Um, And I think I'm assuming here. This is me. This is my thought bubble right here. It's just like I'm pretty sure something happened off screen where between her and Mysterio, because immediately after you just see Mysterio saying, "Hey, I gotta do this. I'm taking her," and then he leaves. Right? I I'm I bet just like in the first time we met with Kindred, how she made a
Mhm.
deal with Norman
Mhm.
to
Yep.
make it look like she was in trouble or something. I think she did
Yeah.
the same thing with Mysterio right here. You
You
know,
think so? You think it's coordinated
Yeah,
that
exactly. I
he's
think I think she needs Peter to react in a certain way, so to make it look real. And again, so he might not
I
like that in the end.
I do think you're right though, because in one of the scenes when Quentin Beck is talking to MJ, he was just like, "This is the best possible outcome for the
Yeah,
both of us." So you're right. So probably something did happen off screen, like you
because
said, where they're in saying like, "Okay, let's play this out. All
this
right,
this
take
has
me."
to happen. Like this is the best possible outcome. Because you got to remember, this is an all-out battle going on. Like, things are happening, so we didn't see everything. The artist isn't really showing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Mysterio takes MJ. Spider-Man gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, we see Kindred, and then we just see this like full-page spread of all the teams attacking. I don't know if they're attacking Spider-Man or not, but you see like the Syndicate. You see Foreigner and his crew, Overdrive and Boomerang. That was interesting to see Overdrive there
Yeah,
and Shocker with Kindred. Like, are they working together? That was weird to me. Um,
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Boomerang is gonna get like a redemption arc in this,
Yeah.
and I
I,
don't like that. I hate that guy. After what he did, man, I'm done with him.
you know what? This is my first time. Okay, so this Nick Spencer is the first Spider-Man I'm reading,
Okay.
right? Um, Growing up, for me, it was always the cartoons.
Yes. Yeah.
90s Spider-Man and X-Men. Every Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, I was up.
Waking up,
Well,
yeah, get the cereal, maybe get a couple of
exactly.
cookies. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
But
So as I got older, I kind of just got into the comics maybe about, to be honest with you guys, probably 3 years ago.
okay. I mean,
Like, so I'm new
okay.
to it. I always like the movies, and I'm just like, man, if I think the movies are this good, I wonder how much better the books are. And
Right.
then I just started going for everything. Some Spider-Man, some
Man.
Venom. I'm just like, man, this stuff just blows it out of the water. So for me, this whole Nick Spencer one is my first Spider-Man. Is the first Spider-Man that I started reading.
It's very interesting you say that because like you're saying that this is Nick Spencer's your first time reading Spider Man and you're loving it. And I'm just saying like man, you got to go back. You got to go back and just read some trades or something because like not many people like Dan Slott, but he did the last volume. I love Dan Slott. I think he does a great job.
Mm.
And he's the one that introduced the Spider Verse. So in my mind, he can do no wrong. Um, but then even before that, I can't really tell you much about that. But they're good stories, you know. So if you like this, man, you're gonna be in for a surprise if you do go back a couple. Um, but then moving on, the ending of this book is just it's kind of ends where it began, where with Doctor Strange and Mephisto, and Mephisto's basically like, hey, you know, like this, it whatever happened happened. I can't take it back. I can't break my deals like you humans can, but I will give you a chance, you know. So let's play a game and see what happens. So like my first thoughts are like, what are the stakes? Like, what is Mephisto going to ask of Doctor Strange in case he loses? Like, so
Yeah.
because I doubt that Mephisto's just gonna be like, yeah, you know, if you win, you get it. If you lose, well, you can just walk out. I doubt that,
Yeah.
right?
No.
So basically, that's where it ends. My review for that, I gave this a 9 out of 10. And I think honestly, I gave it such a high rating because Nick Spencer's just been doing. He's been up and down, and lately he's been down. That the fact that this is such a good book, I'm just
Mm.
so excited about it. I'm so happy with it that I gave it a 9 out of 10. Uh, Everyone is here. Like all the teams are here, and it is living up to the hype.
Yeah.
The positives for me were like Mephisto and Strange. The whole battle was a positive, and Mysterio maybe knowing what the Mephisto deal was, that was pretty good. That was a good part in my mind. My only negative is just MJ and Peter talking in the middle of the fight. Like, it's not the time. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the time to be talking. But yeah, what do you think? What would you give it?
My rating, I'm gonna have to go with the same thing. 9. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, I feel like there was the right amount of conversation with the right amount of action. I feel like it was good. It was a good pace.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't any lagging moments or any unnecessary pages of just nothing. I feel like everything moved forward. I like what I really like about the story is that it makes you think that Kindred has been planning all this. He's gonna send 6 teams of the Sinister Six
Mm-hmm.
after Spider-Man, and you're thinking, oh, you know what? That's pretty cool. You're gonna see Spider-Man take on 6 teams of 6. But what you kind of already start to see at the end is that those groups aren't going to get along with each other.
No, not at
Every
all.
every version of the Sinister Six is going to want credit for taking down the Spider.
Mm-hmm.
So and then as you saw amongst them fighting Spider-Man, they're kind of fighting each other too. So I figured, the more parties you introduce to this, okay, there's more people out there to get Spider-Man, but not not everyone's 100% attention is on Spider-Man. You have, like you saw the 2 teams that showed up and they just started
Yeah.
fighting with each other. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Well, you've seen the fall of the Sinister Six has always been that they don't work cohesively. They don't work as a team. Doc Ock always swindles them into joining the team,
Mm-hmm.
but he wants the credit. His plan is, I want you guys to soften him up for me, and then I'll go in and finish it,
Yeah.
so I get the credit.
Right.
That's always been the MO of the Sinister Six, and still it shows here because still they still can't get along with each other, and I feel like that's gonna play a part. That's gonna be a downfall. Like that might be the downfall to Kindred's plan not working, because even a couple of times you've seen the Sinister Six. Whether it's Sandman or somebody, they have a change of heart, halfway through, and they're just like, what, I don't want to do this, because half the
Right.
time, there's been members who have been recruited against their will by Doc Ock. If you
Yeah.
don't do this, then I'll, then I'll make this happen or this happen.
And right now,
And
that's the Lizard. The Lizard was basically
yeah,
recruited against his will.
yeah, because you split them.
Yep.
You split them from Kurt Connors, and it's just like, all right, you know what? We don't want to argue with Kurt Connors. You don't want to join, cool. We don't want Kurt.
Yeah.
We want the Lizard.
Yeah.
So I think Kindred is the one who organized it, but I think all this probably is gonna fall at the hands of Doc Ock.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense too, because the whole thing that they're bringing him back, and he's the one that did like the legwork for getting the Sinister Six together. So he might play a bigger role. So I know you had a question about who Kindred is, because we got shown that Harry is in the cell with Carly, and it's been alluded that it is Harry, but to tell you what I think, I would need to kind of spoil the One More Day storyline. So, like I said, this story has been out since 2006, so I wouldn't call it a spoiler. It's just something that you don't know, but I don't want to talk about it unless you want to hear it. All right, like I don't want to spoil it, but if you're willing to hear it right now, I'll continue with what I'm going to say.
Yeah, tell me. Because for me, because I will say the one thing I did believe that it was 100% Harry, because if you look at all the issues that Kindred has appeared, or Harry as Kindred, it was calls him Pete. And for me, that was the one thing. From the very first time he said the word Pete, I'm just like, man, that sounds like Harry Osborn. I'm just like, oh, this has to be Harry. Like the way that he talked about him, like the way he had so much negativity towards him. It's like somebody that has history with him, and just the whole Pete vibe. It just said Harry for me. But then when we saw that it wasn't Harry, and you saw Harry and Carly and in prison together, I'm just like, oh man, like where is this gonna go now? Like with Nick Spencer, it could be like an amazing review, like, oh man, that's nuts, or it could be something that underwhelming.
So you do want to hear it then? You want to hear
yes.
this? Okay. All right. You heard it here. It's recorded and everything. He wants to hear the spoiler. So if you don't want to hear the spoiler about One More Day, then I would shut it off here. But either way, so here goes. One More Day is a storyline that happens after Peter reveals his identity in Civil War. Have you know about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he reveals his identity. So now everybody knows who Peter Parker is. And that's when the attacks start happening. Like people attack MJ, people attack Aunt May, or like, attack him. Like he's not safe 100% anymore. And so one day, someone goes after him. It's a sniper. I can't remember if the sniper was actually somebody important or if it was just a random sniper. But this person went to go shoot Spider-Man. He's got his Spidey sense. You're not going to really hit him. So he moves out of the way. Who's in the way? Aunt May. She gets shot. And so she gets taken to the hospital. And one thing leads to another. But basically, she dies. And he's upset. MJ is upset. They're married, by the way. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they're married. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, don't call me out. No. But I'm pretty sure they're married. And finally, Mephisto and Peter meet, and they make a deal. And Mephisto says, if you want me to fix this, I can fix this to where nobody knows what your identity is, who you are. And Miss IMA is alive. Everything is good. Everything goes back to before you revealed your identity.
Yeah.
the only thing I want from you, and he's like, well, let me guess, you want my soul? And he's like, no, no, like I don't care about that. I want your love. I want the love that you and MJ have. It's gonna be taken away when you get back to before. You're not with MJ anymore. You're not. You're not married. You're not doing anything. That's why people hate this story. I may be oversimplifying it. That's what I'm saying. Like you need to read it. But basically, this is why people hate this story is because that their marriage gets taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is that Peter didn't actually make this deal. He said no, and MJ like went behind his back and was like, Peter's never gonna say yes. I'm making this deal. Make it happen. And so basically that story leads into Brand New Day, and in Brand New Day, um, like I said, everything goes back to normal. Nobody knows who Peter Parker is as Spider-Man, and so here's where I get a little confused. But basically, I think that Kindred is Harry. Kindred for sure, 100% is Harry,
Mm-hmm.
but he's Harry from the One More Day storyline and before. He's Harry that got lost in the transition. He's an alternate timeline now because like now he changed the timeline, and he's talking about um, basically the sins that Peter committed. It took its toll on him. You know, it affected him, and so Peter doesn't care about what his sins do as long as he's okay, right? So Kindred is definitely Harry, and so we see that Kindred. We see Harry. This Harry from this timeline is definitely that Harry that we see in the cell, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's why we see him there. I'm confused on the fact that we see a third Harry, which Carly mentions. Like there's a dead body that looks
Dead
like Harry.
body, yeah, yep.
That third Harry, I have no idea like what's going on there. Like that makes no sense to me. But that's the deal that Mysterio is talking about, and he's trying to tell Peter because Peter does not remember this deal. He didn't make the deal, and so he
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't remember this ever happening. And this is why people were so excited at the beginning of Nick Spencer's run. It kind of it talks about kind of what happened in One More Day and the fact that MJ and Peter are finally getting back together because they haven't been together since One More Day, and so like it's been a long time. People have been wanting this to happen, and that's it. That's basically it. So like, and it looks like he's finally going to reveal to Spider-Man what happened there. Like that's been something that's been like ignored by other writers, like just
Mm-hmm.
accepted. Nick Spencer's bringing it to light. We're seeing it here. Doctor Strange also plays in his part in One More Day. I don't really know much about what happens there, so I don't want to talk about it much. But that's why seeing Doctor Strange talk to Mephisto is another like, oh crap, what's going on? Because even Doctor Strange doesn't remember that whole deal. So um,
Yeah.
that's basically what One More Day is. So that answers your question on who Kindred is most likely. And you know what? It may be wrong. I may be wrong. Kindred is not Harry for real, but it has to be. It has to be Harry from that
Sounds like
timeline.
him because who else would really hate him that much? Who else would
Yeah,
have that much ammo to hate him on?
exactly.
To
And the
hate.
fact that he kills him and brings him back to life, kills him, brings him like that is just crazy. Um,
Exactly. And it's just like he wants, and then maybe you answered it or not, but another question that I have is what did he do? Okay, his
yeah,
sins, he's lying, but about, like
but he
about
doesn't
what?
know. He doesn't know
Exactly.
his life.
And maybe this is a bad thing, but one thing that I'm not very fond of with Nick Spencer, just in general, not from
Mhm.
any specific book, is that he's. It could be just me feeling this way, but I feel like he's dragging out what Peter has done.
You are not alone.
It's just like
You are not alone on that.
you get like a little clue, like a little taste of like Pete, that one time you did this or one time you said that, but we have no clue what it is that Peter did for Harry to go through all this to dig up the dead bodies of George Stacy and Gwen
Yeah.
Stacy and have them all sit together at that table and in the cemetery. It's just it has to be Harry. He hates him so much, and all the way he talks about him. And you know what? From what you told me, I didn't read that storyline, but I mean, it makes sense. And if it is true, I think it's cool how they're taking a deal that was how they took a deal that was made in another story,
Mm-hmm.
and they're putting it into this one here.
Yep. That's exactly like me personally. That's why I'm so excited because I'm like they're finally talking about one more day and the ramifications, and that's why like you're saying, Kindred saying you need to apologize, you need to admit it. Peter doesn't
Mm-hmm.
know, and I don't know if Kindred knows that Peter forgot or that Peter didn't actually make the deal. It was MJ, but like even if he does know that Peter doesn't know, that's annoying that he's just like you need to apologize, you need to apologize, and he's just like for what? For what did I do? I don't know what I did.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's it the idea to put them against each other is cool.
yeah.
But like I said, I just think like it's carrying out too much. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to give us
Mm-hmm.
like something. Like you don't got to give away the whole thing, but some clue or maybe some type of reference to something before, to like another storyline, like how you were mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
But
And this
mm,
honestly, this is why I gave Sinister War a 9 out of 10 because it finally is giving us something. It's finally moving forward, and I'm so ready to finish the story. Yeah.
yeah,
So.
exactly.
So anyway, do you have any further questions or any like things that you wanted to talk about with Sinister War?
No, Sinner. The only thing that didn't make sense to me that just made me reread it again, even after I read it, was the whole third body with Harry. When Carly
That
Cooper, when she's at the morgue and she's going through the bodies, and she's, at the a couple of issues ago, she's at the morgue and she uncovers the body, and then it ends like that,
I
and then it gets brought back. It's just like after hearing what you said, it's just like, man, how are there three Harrys?
I'm glad that you mentioned it. Honestly, I just remembered I don't know why I didn't write it down or anything. Um, my theory, and I love making theories because they're always wrong. But my theory is, we just got done with Chameleon Conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So that body, what if it's just a chameleon? What if it's
Oh,
just a way
oh,
to get because we saw Kindred talking with Chameleon at the end of Chameleon Conspiracy, so it was just something to throw people off. I don't know, like that's just my idea because there's no reason why we went through that Chameleon Conspiracy story because by the end of it, if you really just look at that little short story, it means nothing. So it has to tie in some way.
literally the only thing that came out of that I got, the only major significance is that the clairvoyant was destroyed.
Yeah,
All
that
that to have it destroyed by like, no, I don't want it. Boom.
yeah, that and what happened to Peter's sister, which whatever.
Yeah, that whole story was like a little weird. It's just like she had like doubts about her identity. Am I a clone? Am I not a clone? I'm just like, do we really need this? But then again, you're
Exactly.
right. Why would you introduce that? You know, an ends to the clairvoyant, or like you said, maybe that body, that third hairy body,
Yeah,
was just like a chameleon clone because
I
all
feel
they did
like
have a chameleon army.
it's gonna play into something. If it's not the body, that chameleon stuff, it's gonna play into this Sinister War in some way. It has to because there was no reason for that story
Yeah,
otherwise. But yeah, that's my theory. I'm not sure,
we'll
but
see. But
but all right, man. I do appreciate you coming out here again. This is Frank's Comic Books. Go check him out on Instagram. He's always posting his comics. I'm a little jealous sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes.
yeah,
And if you're here, make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I do also put this on the podcast, so like any podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, pretty much any podcast platform that you can think of, you'll find Manny Reads Comics. So make sure you follow there. And the most important part is to share with your friends. And yeah, other than that, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. See you guys later.